Good evening, Texas bikers and bikers all across the nation. This is Texas Biker Radio number 341. My name is Mel Popeye Moss, and my co-host, Mel O.G. Robbins, is joining me, not in studio tonight, but he's via the internet. Good evening, Mel. How are you doing?
Thank God for the internet.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, you'll be able to see pictures of him periodically during this broadcast. It puts him here in the studio with me every once in a while we're talking. Okay, Mel. Let's just. Are you ready? You want to do some small talk, or you just want to dive into it?
Oh, let's go for it.
Okay.
I was always a bottom line guy.
Yeah. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about the. I don't even have a title for it. It's just we're going to be talking about the profiling that's going on and the history of it, things we've discovered as we get these videos. Mel, each time we receive a video, we learn something. We learn so much that we need everybody to keep them coming, even if it's just a plain traffic stop. Understand, every time we see one of these videos and we analyze it, the police officers themselves are educating us not only for the next legislative session, but for right now, for our actions that we're taking right now. And it's an incredible thing, Mel. Law enforcement, now here's the thing, law enforcement are not going to stop their profiling. They've still got to sell the narrative.
Well, yeah, and we kind of stumbled across something that was a little interesting. That was in the criminal code. What was it, 6201 or whatever?
61.02.
Yeah, 61.02, where it actually, by Texas law, any municipality or county with a population of greater than 100,000 is mandated to maintain a criminal database.
Exactly.
So it's the dear old governor and Texas law that's basically driving this whole damn thing. And we found out that this damn thing got really passed pretty much on the back of 911.
That's exactly
when everyone
right,
was scared shitless, and they managed to get the Patriot Act on and all kinds of things to protect us while we were sleeping.
Exactly. And here's the thing, Mel. They're going to continue these fishing expeditions. They're going to continue to search for anything, no matter how minor it is. And Mel,
well, sure, and they're going to say they're mandated to do it.
Exactly. And just like in that last video we saw that I posted yesterday in TexasBikerRadio.org, where the DPS officer, of course, he was talking about criminal code 61.02, and he was talking about how he needed to take pictures of him and everything else to get him into a database because he had never heard of that club before, and because he had patches on that said, the SYOB patches, that he needed to get him into the database. And Mel, do you know what? He had no proof at all that young man was any type of a criminal, had ever committed any types of crimes. He's putting an innocent individual into a database that may or may not have a criminal history.
Well, there you have it. Once again, you've got law enforcement out there not knowing what the hell they're doing. First of all, Most police departments anymore, I guess you can't get on unless you've gone through some type of post-training or an academy. And I honestly believe that it should be, let's use our favorite word, mandated.
Right.
That they have a constitutional law class, and they must pass it. They have to have read the Constitution, taken a test, and passed it in order to become a police officer. I think that's a hell of an idea.
Yeah, I do. I do too, because it's obvious to us. It's obvious that that there's some clear violations of our constitutional rights in what they're doing. Now, like we said, they used 9/11 to create this mess, this data collecting that they're doing at all levels of government, down to your local police department. And so here we go. You look at what they've done, and you see they've created a constitutional right violating machine. They've given them to the authority to violate your constitutional rights on the spot with no jury. In other words, they're looking at you, convicting you, putting you into a database as some sort of domestic terrorist or whatever label you want to put on it, and OMG, even though they have no data to support it, other than a club's name. And Mel, like we've discussed, there is no club in this country that's not allowed to exist. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it clearly somebody needs to go in and clean up the intent of that legislation. The language is way too broad. Hell, they could stop you on the street because you're wearing a Masonic ring. You're wearing a Union button, like they used to. Any kind of a Harley Davidson belt buckle could make you part of a gang.
Yeah.
It's just too frickin' broad, and you got a lot of lunatics out there that don't even understand the Constitution, let alone the law, and they're out there enforcing it. So, somebody really we need to get this cleaned up.
Well, here's the deal, Matt. The Texas Criminal Code procedures, that covers a hell of a lot. More than just motorcycles and gangs and that kind of stuff. Way more. So we have to kind of zero in on what it is we're looking at there and deal with that. And I can promise everybody right now, we're looking at this differently than we did. We've been looking at it wrong. For the most part, bikers don't see themselves as gangs. But law enforcement does. And they use the legislature to create these databases, laws, and the term OMG that feeds the narrative. They also create mandates that require law enforcement entities, we've already said this, throughout the state to participate. It didn't take us much study, Mel, to realize as we were looking at it, and we were looking at the dates of everything, that, this was on the heels of 9/11. And, Mel, you look around what's happening today, 18 years later, the terrorists that are out there are still knocking down buildings and killing en masse all over the world.
They certainly are.
Yes. We're seeing it almost every other day, or every, at least a minimum every week, somewhere. Somewhere. Well, sooner or later, these unchecked tragedies comes back around to us. And what we see when we look at all this stuff is we see misappropriated manpower, funds. I mean, they're looking at motorcyclists when they should be looking for real terrorists. I mean,
or real gangs like MS-13,
yes. Yes. I mean, what we have going on here, Mel, is the inability to stay focused. I mean, power grabbing and the misappropriation of money and resources by government at all levels, including Texas. I mean, it's beyond the pale when you consider all the different groups that work every day to overthrow, destroy, kill in this country. And Mel, those groups go unchecked, including those that slip across our borders. I mean, what's worse is they're protected by the deep state that lets them roam free. And meanwhile, we've got law enforcement zeroing in on 1% motorcyclists, which I promise you commit way fewer crimes than law enforcement itself. It's incredible. And Mel, what that criminal code of procedure is, it's legalized harassment.
Precisely.
Legalized harassment, even though you've committed no crime now or ever. They would put you into a database and force you to let them take pictures as a suspected criminal with no proof. Again, no proof. All this stuff that's going on, Mel, is just certainly not 1% MCs or any other MC, or just a guy going down the highway on two wheels, wearing a cut. I mean, Mel, it's total neglect of the real dangers that are going on around us every day. Hell, we got a trial going on up here, where a guy hacked another guy up with a machete. That's where we understand there was no database going to stop that.
Nope.
I mean,
lots of luck with that one.
Yeah, Mel. I mean, we've got robberies going on every place up here in Dallas. We got one that they're hoping they'll go up. We need help recognizing his voice. Really? Mel, I remember back in the mid '70s when I was working, as a maintenance man for a burglar alarm company. I remember back when we had a rash of robberies in these convenience stores and stuff. They posted a police officer inside. Not in sight. Hidden inside. And Mel, that stopped that shit pretty quick. But today, no, they're going to be out chasing motorcyclists, wasting their time, wasting resources, wasting money on fusion centers that are duplicated again and again and again because of a mandate now that we learn. It's like we said, we learn something every time we get one of these videos. And one of those officers opens his mouth. Let me tell you, it runs back, Mel. It runs back to, remember the guy in White Settlement?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the city councilman / sheriff's deputy. That indoctrination they've received is so powerful, they can't help themselves. Same with Sergeant Steroid over in Fort Worth, where they violated the rights of Vagos MC members in Wilson's leather goods. And Mel, let me tell you, the way they treated Jeff Wilson and the things they accused him of that a lot of people don't know about it's bullshit. And, with absolutely no evidence that any of the crap they suggested had ever taken place, ever, in his establishment, which sews on patches for everybody. You could have a bus driver walk in there and want a patch sewed on, and by God, he'd sew it on for him. A family business. But the accusations that were made by Sergeant Steroids and that crew there. Oh, and Mel, remember, there was one officer there when we were there. One officer asked me, well, you want to become part of our investigation? And I looked at him. I said, well, what investigation is that? He mumbled some bullshit. And threatened to take our phones. I told him he would be severely disappointed. And all the profiling is going on, right now, I don't want to say it has curtailed because the weather keeps kind of interfering. We've got to where we have rain every other day, so I think I'm living in Seattle. But it seems though it has, but then again, we just haven't had enough good weather for everybody out there. But I know, we know that it's not what it was when there was that push after the governor made his statements about getting them into his database. Anybody that looks like a gang member.
Let's see what happens when the weather's really nice and a lot of bikes are out on the road.
Yeah.
Ought to get interesting.
It should get interesting. We believe in the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. It trumps the laws that are created by biased government entities who would take away our rights given to us by God. Mel, it was Benjamin Franklin, November 17th, 1755, where we were warned about trading freedom for safety. He said, he who sacrifices freedom for security deserves neither.
And that's precisely what the Patriot Act's all about.
Yes. I know we're jumping around all over the place with this, but that's the way it's been.
Well, we are and we aren't jumping around. You come to the realization that there are a lot of tentacles here, a lot of roots, and everything seems to connect.
Yeah.
In one way or another, eventually, it all, you turn the corner and you're running into the same thing and you thought you were on a different street.
Yeah. Exactly. And it goes back to, we work motorcycle safety issues in the state legislature. We've got guys like Double D and others that are out there doing one hell of a job on motorcycle profiling, and and great orators, people that can get before a camera and present our case. And we have so many smart people that are working these issues. But these videos tell us so much and educate us and will guide us going forward, whether it be a video that you get, whether it's a dash cam video, whether it's a body cam video. Now these DAs like to play with us, like the one here in Ellis County. They sent us a dash cam video that had been redacted. In other words, there were parts of it that were, the audio was blocked out. But still, we learned something out of that video. And of course, we're going to have to probably file suit to get the body cam videos. And there was more than one officer involved in that stop. There was about 8 of them there.
And don't forget, there's a high percentage of the time, if you want body cam video, be prepared to give them the name of the officer.
That's right.
Because they're going to want that before they release the body cam video, because they'll say, well, we need to know the name of the officer, so we're sure we're giving you the right video.
Exactly. Now, I did word it in a way to where I was asking for any and all. But we'll have to play with that with our lawyer when we go back at them. But understand, when you are stopped, whether it be a traffic stop or whether it be it goes into profiling, get video. Be prepared to take video. Get the officer's name, the location, the time, the city, the police entity that's doing the traffic stop or the profiling. I mean, get all this information. It's easiest to do it when you get it on video, rather than trying to remember it or trying to write it down. Now, as we saw in the video in Austin, where the police officer told us about Criminal Code 61.02, because before that, we hadn't realized.
Yeah, nobody ever talked about that before.
Exactly. So we go look at it, and then we start figuring out, oh, hell, here's what's going on, and here's how it's happening. And now we can do some things that combat it. Not only legislatively, but publicly. And we have no problems going to these places and seeking redress real public-like. Matter of fact, I want to do the Lake Dallas thing sooner than later. And we'll have to be talking to the other groups that were involved in that and make that happen. And we'll also, here pretty soon, Mel, we're going to be going back to Garland, back to 5-star cycles, where the local police officers drive by periodically, or whenever they drive by there and see someone wearing a cut, we'll call a gang unit. Well, we're going to go there one weekend here pretty soon. We'll take our whole club. And we'll invite the gang unit officer to profile us. At the same time, we will be getting video. We will be asking questions. We will be asking our own damn questions. So,
well, fortunately, there's a McDonald's down the street, too.
That's true. That's true. You don't have to be on a motorcycle to be profiled. We found that out in White Settlement. We found out in other instances, like in Garland, where one biker's walking back from McDonald's back to Five Star Cycles, and a guy threatens to take him to jail. It's incredible, Mel, what we're seeing, and the behavior of law enforcement. Now, we've seen some here lately where they're nice enough. There's no reason to be belligerent with them. Matter of fact is, let them be the jerks. Be cordial and be ready to be profiled. If you're on the road on two wheels right now, and you're wearing a cut, the possibilities are high that you could be stopped. This is what we want you to consider when you saddle up to go for a ride. Consider where you're going, what you're doing, and what you're carrying with you. Okay, Mel, just off of that video of the Austin profiling, not Cody King, the other one, the Praetorian MC member, you know, the DPS officer said, well, I know you had to get approval for those rockers you've got on. Now, Mel, didn't we cover this once before? About Texas rockers?
I think we have. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there are plenty of groups out there that are wearing Texas rockers that didn't get approval from nobody. Nobody.
They'll be first to tell you that, too.
That's right. They would be. And the thing about it is, you go to these big events like the Lone Star Biker Rally. I mean, it's Texas rocker a go-go going on. And, of course, law enforcement MCs, I'm sure they didn't ask anybody's permission. You think, Mel?
But once again, you got law enforcement doesn't know what the hell they're talking about.
Exactly. So, you know, the Texas rocker thing had been settled. So I suggest that they revamp some of their information. Just saying. Just saying. As far as the other patches and little stickers and stuff you can put on your bikes, all the 1% clubs, most of them sell those things at various rallies. They just sell them to the public. You don't necessarily have to be a biker. If you want a SYLB T-shirt at one of these rallies, they will sell it to you.
That's right. You don't have to be a member of a sport club.
Right. Just saying. Just saying. You find those things all over the state and probably all over the country, I guess.
It's what's called capitalism.
That's right. It's called making money. And when you sit back and you realize it, that most of these large 1% clubs, I mean, they don't really have to do any type criminal activities to make money. Not at all. Not at all. Just saying. You know, and if you want to learn more about profiling, what to do, you got any questions about it, you can come to the next COCI meeting, and Mel's fixing to tell you about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Texas Coalition of Clubs and Independents. And in the DFW area, that's known as Region 2. And they happen to help out Texas Biker Radio on occasion. They sponsor us. And it's a great organization. It's strictly about bikers, their rights, the legislation that's going on, what to do if you're stopped, getting to know all of the different bikers around the area. The Coalition of Clubs and Independents has a membership of not only clubs, but there are independents that come. Everyone's welcome. There's no monthly fee that you pay to get in through the door. We meet at Southern Junction in Royce City every third Sunday of every other month. For May will be a Coalition of Clubs and Independents meeting, and that will be on, let me bring up a calendar here. That will be on May 19th at Southern Junction in Royce City. Meeting starts at 2. Everyone gets there about noon, orders the special of the day and a few drinks, talks, gets to know some new friends, and then we have the meeting at 2 o'clock, and it's usually over promptly by 3. Our attorney's there, Bill Smith. He usually, brings some free literature to pass out to the bikers, Constitution packets, know your rights, just information that's good to know about what to do if you get stopped. He also talks about it and he answers questions. We talk about motorcycle safety. We talk about the legislation that's going on, and just different things going on around the area. So please come, independents and club members.
That's right, Mel. That's right. Join us and come up and shake our hands. We'll be glad to talk to you. And things you may hear about the COCI are not as you're being told, especially by law enforcement. Well, Mel, let's real quick. Let's talk about some stuff that's going on. I did go see the movie Endgame last night. It was 3 hours and 6 minutes long, and they had every Marvel character in it, comic book character you could think of in it, every superhero, everybody but Gay Man. And he even may have been in there. I don't know. I mean, it was interesting, to say the least, of somebody that's not a real comic book guy. But I do kind of know the comic book characters from over the years. Like Captain America and the Rocket guy, Ant-Man, and some of the newest ones. Yeah. My grandkids, they know them all. Now, that's one thing you can bet the millennials can tell you is who all these superheroes are, because that's the world they're living in. Just saying. But it was interesting. Would I sit through it again? Nah. So, be warned. And if your kids are going to take you there, go and be happy. Because they'll be into it. That being said, Mel, let's work. We will post this next ride we do to Garland when that happens. Right now it's flooding outside, so we know it's not happening today. But as soon as the weather clears up, we'll be headed that direction, and we'll post it so everybody knows about it. We'd like for some people to know where we're at, what we're doing, and if you want to join us, whether you're a club or an independent, let us know, and we'll be glad to host you along on that ride. It's fun. We always have a good time in everything we do, even when we're doing a serious protest. You got to look at it, even when they're pointing guns at you, you got to look at it with a little bit of sense of humor. Why in the hell are they pointing a gun at me? or my wife told me there would be days like this. Just saying. Mel, you got anything you want to close with?
No, I think we covered everything we needed to, and I don't have anything to add.
With that, everybody have a great evening and ride safe. This is Texas Biker Radio.